Hello, I'm now going to show you a project made using our Grown Together collection. This is an absolutely beautiful collection. So this is where our florals and our sentiments all work together. So they're interlinked as if they have grown together. So the theory being that something that grows together is stronger together. So you can see how beautiful the sentiment and the florals are together. A little bit blurred there, but when I cut it out, I'll show you how beautiful it is. So let's move these bits out of the way first, and I'll show you how this works. So with these grown together dies, you get your detail die, and you also get your foundation die as well. Now the foundation dies are really useful because they give a border around your die, they make it pop, and I'll show you how they make it pop in a minute when I'll show you with or without the foundation. So we've got our charisma. This is just part of my sheet, I've used the rest of it. I lie my die over the top so you can see just like that, and you can see that we then have this perfect little bleed all the way around the outside, and that's what we're looking for, because that then means that we've got the die in the right place. So I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. Now these dies, all of these floral dies will go through anything from an A5 upwards die cutting machine. So turn it over and then pop it through my die cutting machine. I've not put any cut tidy on, but hopefully with this one I won't need it. So as well in the floral collection, we had our Decadent Doily, and we also had our little girls. So we're going to use our Sleepy Fawn and also our Bunny Love. Some beautiful little girls that go so well with this collection. So let's have a look at this. Now look at that. You can see it's cut absolutely perfectly. So let's just lift that up off the mat. There we go. So it's just stuck down with my sellotape. Get that out of the way. There we are. And then we've got our die. So little poke through from the back, from the release hose. Look how easy this comes out. Now look at that. Now can you see how the florals really pop, but they're intermingled in with, the sentiment really pops because it's intermingled with the florals, but you could still trim out that sentiment if you didn't want it. And I've done one here where I have actually just trimmed out the sentiment. So we could use that for decoupage, or we could use it to, we could go like this and extend that that arrangement if that's what you wanted to. So really useful die set. So as well as that, I'm just going to cut out the Sleepy Fawn so that we've cut everything out before we start, and then we can put it all together. So Sleepy Fawn works exactly the same way. I'm going to get my charisma. I'm going to lie the die over the top. Now, when we have our people, we have a very small bleed around the edge. Let me just get this. I'll get a new piece of tape, I think. When we have the people, the bleed will be absolutely tiny, and that's so that you don't have much scope to move it, so that you know you're going to get it in the right place. Because we've got eyes and facial features, we need to be sure that it's that the die is in the right place within the charisma. So we can run that through. So you've got your Sleepy Fawn, you've got your Bunny Love, and I've forgotten what all the other ones are. You've got the little one, you've got the little girl on her knees, and the little girl reading her book as well. So you've got all four of those, and they work so sweet. But they work for all your different age ranges. So they could go from your little girl, they could go from newborn cards, right up to cards for your mum, for Mother's Day, and what have you, even for your grandma. So there we go. Pop her out. Look at that. She just popped out. Now look at that. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? I do love that little die. So let's just move all of my plates out of the way, and then we can bring in the card that we're going to make. So first of all, I've got my card base. Now I've got this as a 10-fold card, so I've just folded over, I've just started with a 8-inch card, and I've just trimmed it down because it's not quite square, and onto there I've put some cards. So this is from the cardstock collection that goes with it, and then this is some of the card off the USB. So you know it's going to match so well, because if I bring in the flowers, you can see we've got the same sort of roses running through. So I'm going to pop that on, and I'm going to put that on with my flat tape, or you could use your glue. It's entirely up to you. So I want that to go that way round. Just turning my card base around. I always find it easier to work that way. Just release the corners of the tape so that I can position it, get it into place, and then pull the tape out. There we go. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Decadent Doily. So let me pick that up here. So this is your Decadent Doily. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's a 4-part die. So you can see that there. So you've got your outer one, so that's your foundation. So once we've got this, this is the actual doily. So you've got your first die, and it's got a cutting blade around the outside, but there's no cutting blade on the inside. So if I was to cut that, it would just cut this doily shape out of my card with a plain centre. Then I've got my next blade, and that would then cut, if I put those two in together, that'll cut a frame just like I've got here. Can you see how beautiful is that? So it's going to cut a lovely frame. But if I chose not to use that one, but I use this one together with that one, it's going to cut the full doily effect. Now, isn't that beautiful? So you can see just this bit here there, look, this wider bit is where that inner blade would have gone. So you could then, the other option you've got, this is what I love because you've got so many variants. Oops, I've got a piece of tape on there. The other option you've got is you could use that with that and you'd make a smaller doily. Now, doilies are so useful in our card making. We can just use little elements of them. We can use the whole. It's entirely up to you. So I've used the larger die to cut the foundation, and that's going to go on my card like that. And then, as I showed you, I've used the outer 2 dies to cut this ring, and then I've used the 2 detail dies to cut this doily. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this one straight on there like that. So it's giving me a different colour. Now, what I could also do if I wanted to is I could actually stagger it. Can you see, by just twisting it so that I've put, instead of putting the point on the white, I've put even more detail in. It's entirely up to you. You put it how you want it to go. And then that would go on to my foundation. Now, because I've got my foundation, actually I quite like that. I am going to go with that. I was going to put it back on top of each other, but I'm not going to stop like that. So let's put this piece on first. So this is going to go on with foam tape, just to give it a bit of lift. It is nice to add a bit of dimension. There we go. Make sure I've got my card the right way up still, always checking. And then we can pop that on there. And then the next one we're going to do is we're going to do this lovely doily. And again, I'm just going to pop some glue all the way. So that nice piece here is going to be the perfect bit to add my glue. And then I can just pick out a few of those little pointy bits. There we go. Just to put my glue on there. There you go. You'll always find there's somewhere to put your glue when you cut these out, which is really useful. And let's just go a couple of bits in there so it holds. There we are. Perfect. Now, if you wanted to, spray glue is also brilliant for this. So I'm going to pop that on with in the points. So the points fitting in the points of the base. Now, if you wanted to build this doily up before you stick it onto your card, you can do. I just find that when I'm trying to stick it down on the card, it sometimes moves. So the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to do the patterned rim. So I'm going to put my glue there. There's no point putting my glue on the pointy bits because they're going to be in the gap, so there'll be nothing actually to stick it onto. So I'm just going to make sure there's enough glue just round here. I'm going to put the glue just inside a little bit. There we go. So I've cut these out. The white is out of just my 250 GSM cardstock, and then this one, this burgundy, is out of the card pack. So that's 300 GSM. 300 GSM, and look at how beautifully it cuts. So as we said, I'm going to then stagger that perfectly through there, just for that added detail. Doesn't that look lovely so far? Really, really pretty. Now, this is what I wanted to show you, is how important those mats are. So where was my little piece gone? Oh, it's over here. So if I was to put my floral onto there, can you see how it just sort of gets lost within the pattern because it just sort of blends in? But if I take my foundation and I put it onto there first, and then put it onto there. Even though we're going white onto white in some places, it still makes the flowers pop out a little bit more. And that's what you're after it trying to show. And as I showed you, I've also trimmed one down. As I said, we could have used it for decoupage, but what I've done is I've cut the foundation out and I've just trimmed down this side. And I'm going to pop that. Let's just go, oops, I'm going to stick it down. It'll be easier in a minute when I've stuck it down. And we're going to build that up and we're going to pop that just in there. So we've got our sentiment, but we've then got our flowers going up that way. Actually, I think what I might do is work out where I want that to go, stick that down. Let's put that, yes, just like that. So I can I'm going to glue that onto there. Changing my mind as I go. So let's put a bit of glue under there and a bit under there. There we go. And that's going to go onto my card. Now I could put that on, should I put that on with foam tape? No, I'm just going to put that on with flat tape, I think. You see, we change our minds as we go. I have an idea of how things are going to go, but they still change my mind as I'm developing it. So that's then going to go, I can put a bit more glue up here, onto my card. Now, I need to make sure that the writing is going to be straight when I put it on, because that would really annoy me. So pop that one there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my foam mat in, I'm going to get a ball tool, and I'm going to add a little bit of dimension to some of these petals, because it always looks nicer than being totally flat, in my opinion anyway. Let's do the same with this one. We don't want to damage the writing, but let's just add that little bit more dimension. Can you see, we don't have to add lots, but just lifts it just slightly. So I'm going to get my pin flare glue gel, and I'm going to pop that underneath. So I'm going to pop that just round here. So that will just lift it nicely, and that's going to go on there like that. So that's looking really pretty. And then I'm going to take the second one, and we're going to just pop that there. Now, where the words are, I'm just going to put flat glue. There we go. So it'll pin down to the edge. There we are. Oop. And then I put some flat glue down on the stalks. So then we can add that on to there. So we can then just press those sentiments down. There we go. How pretty is that? Can you see how easy it's been to elongate? Now I think that looks much nicer with the flowers coming out without the white gap showing. So that's why I put the white underneath. But doesn't that look beautiful? So that looks lovely. Now I could stop there and I could just put a bow on and that would be finished. But that looks lovely. But we think we'll go a little bit further and we'll take in our lovely little sleepy fawn. So she's going to go here, but I've actually cut her a couple of times and I'm going to do some decoupage. So I'm going to put a solid layer on. Then you can see I've cut it out and I've just removed her dress and the arm. So what you're doing is each time you do your decoupage, think of the bits that are furthest forward. So then I'm going to put the sleepy fawn on the very front because that's going further forward. So let's just add a little bit of dimension and we can just shape it just nicely like that. And we're just going to add a little bit of shape. I love her hair on this, isn't it lovely? All those lovely curls. I've got curls, but I straighten mine every day. Don't want to see them. They look lovely on other people. Right, so then we've got that. And so let's take the first one and we can build that up. And we can pop that in here. There we go. Actually, let's just take that leg out because there we go. That's what I wanted to do there. There we are. So that's my first layer built up. So we've just removed her leg, which is the furthest bit back. Then we're going to take the next bit, which has removed this bit of her body, because that's the next bit that's furthest back. Just like that. And then we're just going to pop the fawn on at the very front, just like that. Now, let me see if I can pick that up without it all spilling out. So now look at how much dimension we have created. So it's really easy to create your own decoupage. So we're going to get our bunny love, and let's just add a little bit of shape behind here so she isn't totally flat. And then we can put a bit of glue just down there, and we're going to pop her on to our card just there. Then we're going to get our sleepy fawn, and we're going to just pop her on just there. So now what we've done is we've added depth into our card. So we've got the little girl, Bunny Love, holding the bunnies at the back, and we've got Sleepy Fawn at the front. So that is now adding dimension. We've got our sentiment over on the left, and the last thing I need to do is get my glue gun, add a little bit of glue behind my bow, and then I can pop that on there. Just press that for 1 minute. And I'm going to turn that round and show you. How about that? So we've got our Decadent Doily, we've got our Just For You from our Grown Together, we've got our Sleepy Fawn and our Bunny Love. Isn't that lovely?